I had mentioned in passing that it would be my last. The most exciting trips had been to Japan and the Sahara Desert, going places I had only dreamed of as a kid. But there was always a certain distance one would feel when you were behind the camera. The signs of starvation or the natural disaster in front of you are only lights and shadows coming through your lens and nothing more. Everything would deteriorate after that. And this would be another one of those tasks. I looked at the list of shots that I needed to get, and I met with the host, a younger guy, about 25 or so, who had pitched the story to the network a few months before. I had been there for the second meeting, and I must admit that I thought he was joking at first, especially after coming up to the president of the network and the other directors about an idea for his late-night radio and television show. Radio Obscura, it's what it was going to be called. A show that would replace the empty gap of 70s hits between 11 and 1 in the morning. The network had a relationship caller hotline before that, where people would call in to talk about their problems and whatnot. But it got cancelled pretty quickly after the other woman of a public figure called in. The station got an influx of listeners after that, but the backlash and pressure to get it off the air was too much once the directors realized that advertisers wanted to avoid the drama. But this new segment was just what you're imagining. People talking about the occult, dark entities, hauntings, and all that other stuff. The kind of thing people would look for at night, although the audience was already analyzed and determined to be primarily women, getting ready for bed and unable to fall asleep. Books, pharmaceuticals, and household goods companies were already lined up for advertising slots. The guy with the idea was well prepared, if anything. I tried to not captivate or entice, but trap. He wanted to make them feel what he was feeling, with no way out, and I kept thinking of the hard time us as his film crew would suffer during the trips. I had already worked with many personalities and was used to it. It seemed to bother the rest of the team. The pilot episode was simple. We would go to one of the islands off the southern east coast of Mexico. The idea was to go for a few days before the on-screen talent and capture footage, and then once the talent team arrived, they would tell the story of the place. It's going to be a complete ambience thing, where the viewers would get to experience firsthand the haunting of Witch Island. And it was during that first day when things started getting weird. On arrival, we were met by the contractors who would guide us through everything, and one of the drivers insisted on taking us to the house of a man who knew all about the tiny island to tell us more. I personally wasn't interested. The area was hot, and all I wanted to do was go to an air-conditioned room. But as the conversation became serious, the rest of the team agreed to go visit the man. They spoke of curses that had been investigated by international scientists who suspected it was an undiscovered virus that had its origins there. At least that's how they explained the bizarre coincidences and deaths that followed those who'd visited. Zoologists had been sent at one point too, in order to investigate the strange sightings of a four-legged creature, like a dog I heard, that would stand up to change its appearance to a human-like, thin animal that would blend with the trees. They said it was completely off axis after sunset, and it had been that way for years, even for the scientists. And that was the case until Julio Marquez, the guy who was doing the show, had sent in his requests. The whole town knew that he was coming, and some had arrived with curiosity, and others with warnings for us. There was an old man sitting on the porch of a small wooden house as we pulled over. The dirt was hot as we stepped out. He shot us a glare and did not move a muscle as we went up to the porch. Everyone looked at each other, but I was looking around for water and found a shop out of a window about 3 houses down, so I said I'd be right back and walked over. The whole situation was strange to everyone, but not for me. These types of things happen while on the road, and I would be rolling the tape right now had it not been for how uneasy the old man looked to have us there. The place had cold water bottles, thankfully. I took the largest gulp in front of the woman as she was giving me back my change from the large bill I had gotten at the ATM. I looked around at the green trees and blue sky, trying to think of the time I would take a real vacation and not another one of these. There was a rush of excitement once I remembered how it might be the last trip I ever take while filming. Even though I had promised that it would not happen again, I know that I'd be able to talk to my now wife into just one more. The last of anything always seems more exciting than it is. The team had gathered around the old man on the porch as the driver translated his warning. 2 boys had recently disappeared while trying to record something for a magazine. I had a bad habit of completing the stories before they were told, so I automatically explained to myself that a pair of young writers had tried to go in after hours, and the only way to not draw attention to themselves would be to go in a small boat, a kayak, or a canoe. And those things, especially with audio gear, are tough to manage. If the boat even hints at flipping over, you'll be trying to protect your camera and batteries even over your own life. It's weird how our human instincts work when we have expensive stuff or a project on the line. But the translator shut my mind right up when he said that the boys had been found under the strangest circumstances. In pieces. Foul play, drug cartels, criminal activity all came to mind instead. But he then told us the story of the witch, a woman that can be spotted from the shore certain nights and had done so for decades. At first, the police were called with official reports and everything, but no one could ever be found there. The story had made national news at one point, with newspapers reporting on it around Dia de los Muertos to creep out the people, at least during the festivities. It had become somewhat of a tourist attraction too, but it was usually the tourists who would lose their patience with the police and officials after the reports of a stranded woman on the island would be ignored. Oh, but she's real, the driver translated for the man. It's her island. What you are about to do will curse you. You should not be wondering if it is real or if it can happen to you, but instead wonder when. The assistant sound manager asked what could happen to us. After all, Julio's story was just about that. The hunt for the witch of the island.
Her eyes suddenly fixed on me. They were filled with rage and hatred. I felt a chill run down on my spine. I didn't sleep for 48 hours continuously. Finally, my friends reached out Pandit. Pandit means father in our religion, in Hindu religion. He came to my house, told me, Beta means son. So Beta, are you alright? Theek ho? Tik tak ho? Are you alright? So I was like, I do not think I'm alright, but I'm trying my best. I just want to feel okay. That's all I want from God right now. That Pandit called me, no worries, I'm gonna do a ritual, like I called it, a puja. It's gonna all be fine. He did that puja. It went for a while, about 3 hours. After that day, I felt a little bit lighter. Within 2 weeks of that, I started looking healthy. I was not feeling bad, I was not feeling good, but I was feeling healthy. I was feeling confident that this time something may happen, that it worked. I don't have to face the demons anymore. Out of nowhere, he was walking down the road with another girl, holding hands. I was like, dude, we told that girl a lie and destroyed her life. She committed suicide. You did this. That is a murder, man. You did this. He was like, it's very hard on me.